Alright, so today we're going to be going over a board that doesn't turn on, and we got a couple of telltale signs here that really hint at what it is that's going on. So one of the first things that you see when you look at this board is that the battery itself is exploding, or as Apple would like to call it so they don't get sued, expanding. So the battery itself is expanding, and then also when you look under the microscope, if you got the use your brain cap on, what you'll notice under the microscope is that in the CPU vcore area, these capacitors look really, really nasty. See that one in the middle, that bulging, exploding pile of shit? See that? No good. Now, let me just... I don't even have to open the schematic to know what's going on here. That capacitor is for providing power to CPU vcore. That capacitor over there is... That capacitor over there comes from the PPBUS G3 hot rail. That's the 8-volt power line that most of the system runs off of, that gets created by the charger, or that is always present with the battery. So the battery's direct output is the PPBUS G3 hot. The power is always present. So since that power rail is directly shorted to ground, what you're doing is you're shorting the battery output to ground, and the battery ain't really happy with that, which is why the battery's exploding. So the first thing that we're going to do to try to fix this pile of crap here is... And this is not a board repair where I feel it is even necessary to remove the board, because there's really just nothing to see on the other side. There's not much to analyze here. So the first thing to do is to remove that exploded capacitor and replace it with one that is, and see if the short goes away. And then once the short goes away, we're going to replace it with one that's not exploded. Let's wait for this thing to heat up. This is the fun part here. Super fun part, smelling an exploded capacitor as you heat it. Ugh. Air filter's not doing jack shit right now. The fume extractor is doing nothing. Moving these is just a bitch. Okay. Usually what I say to do is to tap it to make sure that it's fully liquidous and then lift it. Here I'm doing the opposite. I don't want to overheat that entire area. I don't feel like heating every capacitor and then causing every other capacitor to explode in tandem. So and those are very, very large pads on the board. And I know that with the thermal mass and that section of the board, and also with how big this component is, it's not going to come off easy. So I am actually actively pulling the entire time there. Okay, let's wick up the old nasty lead-free solder. STFU, Hacko. This is big enough stuff that I feel kind of silly doing it under a microscope. It's more important to me that I can hold the iron straight up, because holding the iron straight up here is going to give me the advantage of having more heat. And you need a lot of heat to remove that. And I want to concentrate the heat. I want to make sure the heat sticks to that particular area. Let's find the same board. Oh, what do you know? I've stolen all of that on the same board. All right. Okay. Let's see if a different board uses the same thing. This is the part where I wish I had quadruple monitors. One for schematic, one for board view, one for schematic for second board, one for board view of second board. Okay, so the capacitor that exploded. Of course you open in the opposite way I have the shit on the desk. Why would you ever open in the way I have the board on the desk? Let's see. Capacitor that exploded was C7514 and ground is on the right. So C7514. Well, the PDF reader is finding that. Let's see if my short went away on that bus. That's a 62. Okay, 62 farad poly capacitor. My short to ground has gone away. Lovely. Okay, now let's see if this, if I can take a capacitor from this 3437 board. Okay, what was I? Ah, yes, looking on a 3437 board and seeing if those capacitors are usable. Okay, so let's open the 3437. 3437 board view. And the 3437 board view. Okay. Still recording. Good software. C7370. These are rated to 62 microfarad. Oh, but you're a tantalum poly and not a regular poly. Oh boy, that makes me mad. I hate tantalum. I do hate tantalum, but what are you gonna do? Hopefully it doesn't blow up in my face. Okay. Grr. All right. I'll take it. Did you just explode? Fucking tantalum. Okay. Take two. So where editing would become in handy. For obvious reasons, I'm not going to plug that battery back in. I enjoy having my face. Will you turn on? If you turn on, will you work or will you explode? Ooh, the fan spins. Didn't do that when I had 1 volt on PPBUS G3 hot. I hear a chime. And are you going to boot? Well, no, you're not going to boot because I left the SSD on the fucking table. And I had dumbass. All right. Boot. Come on, show the camera that Lewis knows how to fix a motherboard. There we go. So what we had here is a short to ground. Again, the hints. My battery is exploding. My battery directly provides PPBUS G3 hot. Oh, look at that component that looks completely destroyed and skull fucked. And what do you know? It runs off of PPBUS G3 hot and has a path directly to ground. And this board was giving me about 1.3, 1.8 volts on PPBUS G3 hot. And that's not what I'm supposed to get. I'm supposed to get 8. So we're all fixed. We're good. And that's that. I did not have to use a short finder. I did not have to use a bench power supply. All I had to use was my brain. And that's that. The brain is pretty awesome, isn't it? You can make some good money using your brain.